Hey Doug, couple of things for you to work on. Well, more than a couple, but anyway. So general format's always going to be the same. You're always going to be rolling out something and you're going to be doing some sort of strength activation work following it up. Remember, none of this stuff should be miserable. If something hurts, you're trying a little bit too hard, especially with the activation exercises. It might not hurt, but if you feel like you're engaging what you just rolled out, you're trying to engage a little bit too intensely. So just back off on the effort a little bit, still focus on the motion, but as time goes on, you should be able to add more intensity to it. So it'll come as things get a little bit smoother. We're going to start from the ground up. So you're going to be taking the lacrosse ball and you're going to roll out the arch of the right foot. Once that starts to loosen up, you have the two choices. You can either go the activation work, or you can kind of shift a little bit and find another spot. Remember what I said, it's not so much rolling out as it is you're rolling to find something. Once it starts to loosen up, you're just hanging out there. So after you get the arch to loosen up, it's going to be some work for the big toe. So preference is, so you have something to actually visually see, is to put like a pillowcase or tablecloth, washcloth, something, maybe not tablecloth, but shirt, on the floor, and you're just going to try and bunch it up with the toes. You don't necessarily need something to bunch up, but it is a good visual reminder, making sure that you're doing what you think you're doing. So when you're doing this, it's not so much that you're pawing the ground, it's just that you're setting your foot on top and it's just kind of curling the big toe to bunch it up underneath you. On the other leg, you're actually going to be rolling out the calf on the left side, and then you're going to be doing that bunching it up with the toes. After you do that, you're going to work your way up a little bit higher, and you're going to roll out both calves. You can do left then right, or right then left. You can even do both at the same time. As you roll out, when you start to roll, if you're not getting enough pressure, cross the other leg over. If that's not enough pressure, lift up a little bit. If that's not enough, then switch to PVC. But that should be plenty for right now. Once you get that to loosen up, you're going to either just lie back and you're going to drag your heel towards your butt. You don't necessarily have to do it lying down. You can do it standing as well and just do some hamstring curls that way. I wouldn't do a big action like a glute ham raise or anything like that. Just focus on the isolation for right now. After you do the right leg, you're going to do the same thing on the left leg. Following that, you're going to work your way up a little bit more and you're going to roll out your right IT band. So after you roll out the right IT band area, then you're going to do some hip bridges, focusing on the right hip. So to make sure when you're doing this, since you just rolled out the quad, you want to make sure that as you bridge up, that you're not actively straightening the leg out. So it's just going to be coming from the glute as you come back and forth. You can also, to make this a little bit more difficult, you can just hold the other leg as you come up, so that way you're working just that one glute. For the other side, it's going to be using the lacrosse ball and rolling out piriformis. So don't sit on it, it's a little better to lie back on it, lift up, roll around till you find something kind of miserable, hang out there, and then it's the same thing, hip bridge up. For this side, what you want to watch out for is that you don't start turning the foot out to kind of push you away from it. Foot should stay neutral, just easy up and down with the hips. Also, for both of these, it's not so much, that you're lifting your body up as high as you can because you'll start to engage the low back. It's more that you're just trying to get the glutes to engage. So make sure that you feel the glutes working as you're doing this. Okay, upper body stuff. So on the right side, you're going to take the lacrosse ball, kind of set it on the chest, and then you're going to lean into the wall. So after you lean into the wall, you should be able to kind of find something there. You can open up the arm. I'm not a big fan of a lot of motion. I only tend to have people do the motion after starting to relax and then just do one pass, take the ball out, reset it, and then maybe do another pass after that. But after you get that right pec to loosen up, it's really more pec minor that we're going for, and so you want to focus more on the outer half to outer third underneath the collarbone is kind of your target area. And then it's going to be some work for your pec. And I'm just realizing now it was your left pec and not your right pec, so please disregard the sides. It should be left pec. Okay, so after you roll out the left pec minor, it's going to be some work for your left pec major. So the exercise for that is just going to be taking a band, keeping the shoulder down and back, and just squeezing across, kind of the opposite of a pull apart. The way that you would cheat this is if when you start doing it, you start shrugging the shoulder forward and the shoulder is staying rounded up and forward. So it really should be good chest posture, shoulders down and relaxed, and it's just a clean hinge at the shoulder itself. Also on that side, it's going to be doing some work for your upper trap. So you can either set the barbell up and kind of get underneath of it and kind of work through in there. Take a theracane instead and kind of dig in. Or you can just kind of stretch, bring the arms across, kind of stretch the traps out that way, tilt the head a little bit. That should be good enough. And then it's going to be some raises to the front with that arm. So the effort is this last little bit of flexion at the shoulder and really focusing on the scapula kind of coming down and rolling down on the back of the rib cage. You want to make sure, I'm going to show with the other side, that when it comes up, that you're not raising your shoulder up as high as you can to get it done. Odds are if you start getting tired, you'll start shrugging up just a little bit each time. So when your arm is up, it should be sunk down as much as it could be. Last thing in general work on is just your thoracic mobility. So for thoracic mobility, we're going kind of hands and knees here. Make sure that you have more or less than a 90-degree angle at the hips to really kind of lock in the low back. If you don't feel like getting down on hands and knees, you can do it with a little semi-squat standing. You'll just have to squat down and go over. When you do that, you can use the inside of the leg as kind of a block to give you a little bit more leverage to increase your rotation. If you are rounded at all when you're starting to do that, you're not going to get as far. So make sure you already start with as much extension as you can to then further that range of motion a little bit better. A lot of stuff. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll just plan on seeing you next week.